Well, today, as I always start out my podcasts, I always say, welcome. And also, we're going to go deep and we're going to have fun. And you are going to be introduced to an amazing woman that I am so honored and privileged to have on as a guest today. And as I always say, also, she's quickly going to become part of your life in a way that you might not have anticipated. And also, too, you are now going to enjoy this ride. So fasten your seatbelt. So today we have Zak Lioutas. I think I got it right. She is a spiritual alchemist, an intuitive guide, and transformational mentor who fiercely empowers women to rise from the ashes of her past and reclaim the radiant fire of her divine truth. With a voice rooted in ancestral wisdom and a presence that awakens the soul, Zak weaves ancient teachings with modern insight, guiding her community through powerful meditations, quantum energy work, and spiritual mentorship. She is the founder of the Quantum Woman Method and the Spiritual Sisterhood movement, leading women through powerful portals of transformation while navigating life's transitions, whether divorce, retirement, or spiritual awakening. Within her sacred spaces, women remember who they truly are: magical, magnetic, multidimensional, and wildly worthy of all she wants. As a fierce believer in self-healing, divine timing, and energetic alchemy, Zak empowers others to shift timelines, embody self-love, and manifest lives rooted in freedom, purpose, and grace. Her mission is to ignite the brilliance within every woman and remind her she was born for more. Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Oh my goodness, I'm thrilled. I just truly am thrilled to be here with you and to explore more about you and what you do and to share you with our audience, because my audience now is your audience. So, yeah, I wanted to dive deep with you about burnout to brilliance because so many women are burning out.
Mhm.
So I was going to ask you, what did burnout look like for you? I mean, not just physically, but emotionally, spiritually, or even relationship wise, right?
Yeah. I love that question. I was actually just writing a post about burnout. So
Oh,
it's
okay.
interesting that we're bringing this up first thing. I think burnout is something of missing our spiritual purpose, and we're kind of gearing off of our spiritual joy because it's a place of pleasing over giving sometimes and stimulating parts of ourselves
Hmm.
that really is ready to go to sleep rather than try to push and trying to go into places maybe that you're not meant to be in, but you feel like you should be there because you're trying to avoid something bigger for yourself.
Wow.
So I think when we go into this place, our spiritual guides us, our spiritual senses will guide us, our higher consciousness will guide us. And we don't feel burnt out. I actually, when I'm on in that place in my spiritual purpose, I feel like I have more energy. When you're
Right.
in that flow, when you're in that vortex, I find that I could do so much. And by the end of the day, I'm like, wow, I feel like I just did nothing. And then I'm replaying everything in my head and I'm like, no, you did a lot. You were just in the flow of life.
Oh,
But when
wow.
you're not in the flow of life, I find that's where you're burnt out because you're just exuding energy that really isn't empowering you. It's disempowering you. It's not lifting you. It's
Hmm.
just putting you down. So that's why I like to say to women, like, what is really your happy? Because when you
Mm.
find happy, it's like you just keep on going and keep on going and keep on going. But if you're doing something that's not happy, think about when you go to work and you don't like your job come Monday, ugh,
Hmm.
Mondays. And it's like, well, nah, not for you. And you enjoy Fridays so much. To me, I like to say every day it's Friday.
Right.
Every day feels like a weekend because you're in that flow. You're in that higher state of awareness.
It's wonderful that you put it that way, and that I was going to ask you, was there a moment for you specifically that, when you realized something had to change?
Yeah. When I went
Oh.
through depression, it's burnout and depression, right? Because
Mhm.
or even for anxiety, it's like the ego is such an interesting character
Mhm.
because when going through the depression stage or the burnout stage, it's really about total misalignment of the truth of who you are. So when I was going through depression, yeah, I was burnt out because I was in that place of people pleasing. I was in that place of, I want to show everyone that I can do everything and I don't need help. And I'm there to help everyone. And then when I was getting the energy in return, it just didn't feel right. Something was just wrong and out. And then I got into a place where it didn't feel very purposeful for me. But
So
then
ho
when I woke up out of depression and it was like, well, you know why it doesn't feel right to you? Because it's not who you are. You're trying to be someone else.
Oh, interesting.
Right. And that's what the
Mhm.
ego is. The ego just doesn't allow us to step into our spirit, into our higher consciousness. It keeps us isolated and comfortable.
Right.
Even depression can be very comfortable.
Oh, absolutely. Yes, absolutely. It's about that, being uncomfortably comfortable, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
exactly. I had Irmgard Maria Rauscher on last week, and she's an expert in family constellations and yoni constellations, and we're doing a series on menopause right now. And we were discussing the fact this exactly what you were saying, trying to do too much and also doing things that are truly not you and trying to people please. And, discussing the whole issue, which it is an issue around, trying to do it all and be equal to men. You know, to be equal in a way that we can't be equal because we are women and they are men. So I, no, we're different. And I love it, right? I love being different than men. I wouldn't want to be a man, and I love being a woman. So, the whole thing about trying to do too much came in, years ago when we were societal pressure to do it all, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I always like to say to myself, I don't want to follow what the world does. I want to
Mhm.
follow what my spirit wants me to do. Because when I was following what the world does, it felt so hard. I felt like I
Mhm.
was hitting walls. I felt like I was just out of alignment. It felt like I was trying to do more and
Right.
seek less in return. But when I go into my spiritual purpose or my higher consciousness and root it into the earth, I just feel like I'm in alignment. I feel like I'm happy. I feel joyful. And I feel like that is what brings me more in return. It's like that exchange of energy that happens.
Mhm.
So you can't serve two masters, as the Bible says. So just choose one. You want to either be part of the earth or you want to be part of the spiritual realm. And I just had to choose a spiritual realm. It's so funny that you brought up menopause because I'm in that cycle of menopause right now.
Mhm.
In the first month, I was like sweating and I thought, oh my God, these hot flashes, dear Jesus, I hope I don't go through this. I hear other women going through it.
Right? Yeah.
All of a sudden, it's like everything subsided, but a rebirthing happened inside of me. And I was like, oh, like I'm out and I'm free and I'm a whole different person. I said, wow. I said, this menopausal, like every woman has a different experience to it. Yes, do I have aches and pains? Absolutely. But what I have discovered within myself in the last 3 months, it's that it's a beautiful place to be. It's like the elder has rebirthed out of me. So there's just so much to be grateful for when it comes to menopause. And, it's not even about doing more, but it's about doing what brings you again that joy, because that's exactly what I'm doing. Even again, I'm decluttering my garage right now. And
Mhm.
I was going for my walk today and I'm like, I'm so excited for this. I'm like, it's like a treasure chest in there. I don't even know what's in there. So,
Exciting. That's
right?
great. Yeah,
And
I
it's
love it.
kind of a feeling that's giving me that. It's like this renewal phase. Like get out of the old and step into this more empowered you. Like you have so much life behind you that half of that life behind you probably don't want to even bring into the next phase of your life. So choose wisely.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. 1,000,000%.
Yeah. So that
Absolutely.
you don't get burnt out.
Well, yeah, exactly, right? What do Zach, what do in your experience, what do women often misunderstand about that phrase, about burnout? Can you expand on what most women, misunderstand?
To put themselves first,
Mm, beautiful.
to put themselves, when you put yourself first and know how to use the word no,
Mm,
I think you just created self love on a deeper level. I have goosebumps saying this to you. Someone has to hear this out there because I'm getting all goosed up saying this to you.
right.
I feel like the more self love you have, and the more that you create this or exude this energy, rather than feel the word constipated is coming up to me. It's like because you feel so stuck.
Mhm, mhm.
So your energy is even constipated because you're so stuck. But once you exude this place of self love, you're creating now these boundaries. You're creating this path for you that again, you start to remember who you are. Because we're not about burnout. We're energy. We're an energy frequency. So when we get into that place of knowing this, I
Right?
find that women start to recognize a deeper sense of themselves.
Mhm. And what do we lose? I mean, we're giving things away, right? We're giving part of us away. But when we abandon our energy as a sacred resource, what are we losing?
What are you losing? You feel depleted and empty. That's why you feel so burnt out. And I don't want to say to give, but I find to share is better because we always want to be sure that we're in that place of sharing our energy. It's
Mhm.
like when you give your energy, I think, too much to people or to situations, I'll say this. Sometimes you're even giving to the wrong source
Ah,
because we're empty on the inside or we have something gapping on the inside of us and when we have something gapping on the inside of us and we're not again going, that self love word is coming up, you're looking for that external validation or for that external need to fulfill a void within our own self. But when you
mhm.
feel whole within yourself, you're not giving your energy, you're sharing your energy.
Right. Huge difference.
Huge. And it plays
Huge.
a difference energetically because when you're over giving, you're overstimulated, you feel depleted.
Mhm,
And then you have that sense of, well, I can't get out of bed. Like, what's going on? Like big crowds. I used to have a hard time being in big crowds
mhm.
because my energy was always out, 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 giving, giving, giving. And then
Oh,
when I started to just hold my energy and just to share my energy and share the love and go and laugh and have a good time and meet people,
right?
right? You just start to just feel this. You're being, what's the word that you're just being fueled from everything else coming to you because you're giving and it's fueling you back.
Right.
It's so
Sorry, I was just gonna say, henceforth, one hand reaches, the other gives, right? One gives, one takes. Absolutely. And how did you begin to reconnect with the truth of your own value?
Oh Lord, that's a loaded question.
Well, you've got lots of time, hun, so go
It's
for it.
been yeah, it's been a journey to say the least. I went through cancer at 25 years old, and that was when I had the greatest spiritual awakening ever.
Wow.
However, in that time of a spiritual awakening, I went through hell in a handbag. I would say that I hit the crystal rocks, stayed there for a while because it was comfortable, knowing all these different things. And then I just had to I started off with, that's not a me problem, that's a you problem. I used to take on a lot of people's stuff. And then I was like, nope. I used to put a lot of people on pedestals. I see their light, put them on pedestals. And they would look down at me. And I'm like, get off the pedestal. I'm putting myself up there. So it was really a place of loving myself and recognizing that, you know what? I didn't come on this earth to be mediocre. I came on this earth because I'm magnificent and I'm
Mm,
worthy of everything I want because God is not a minuscule God. God is an abundant God. And
yeah,
if God is
right
a,
on.
and that's how I learned to just come in that place and give from a full cup rather than a half cup. Because if I'm full within myself, I'm full to give to someone else. And that's
Exactly.
how I learned that because it was like, I feel people, people feel me. I see their work, they see my work, we work together. But it's really that inner work of myself of knowing who I want to give to, who I don't want to give to, and who like, I don't want to say give to and not give to, but it's protecting your energy
Right.
to give to the right and then to give to those that maybe are not able to give you. So those people that are going through a difficult time, those people that can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because I don't want to dismiss that. A lot of people say, oh, that's negative energy. No, that's not negative energy. That's someone going through a journey that they might not be coming from a higher vibrational frequency. But
Mhm.
if you give them and fuel them a little more of yourself,
Right.
then what? You're going to raise their vibrational frequency. I hear people say, I don't want to hang out with them because they're low vibration. Well, look at what they're going through, right? I always say Jesus doesn't leave someone because he's at the bar drinking his face off
Exactly.
because he's going through something. He's going to be like, yo, let me take your hand. Let's go. Let's talk. So
Exactly.
there's just so many different ways I give my energy to people because you can't just give, and then you just feel there's holes in your energetic frequency. So when I found my worth, I found how I want to share my energy with other people and how I want to hold on to energy. And seeing that there, like I said, there's a bigger God out there
Mhm.
than myself I can think of.
Well, it's true. I mean, it's about walking a mile in another person's shoes and, having compassion. It doesn't mean surrendering and laying down and having them trample on you. It definitely is just a matter of being in alignment with oneself to know how much compassion and how much give you can give, right? And then if it's gonna throw off alignment, well, then definitely, a person can pull back, still
Yeah,
offer compassion, but not like you say, to just say, I don't wanna be in that energy. Well, there again, walk a mile in someone else's shoes. You might have been in that situation yourself, and maybe someone else had some compassion,
exactly. And
right?
that's what the world is. It's about compassion. It's about even using the word no. You know what?
Mhm.
There was a time in my life where people say, Zach, come, and I drive an hour to go see them. But when I'd say, hey guys, come hang out with me at my place. Oh, you're too far.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
I drive down to you all the time. Like, how is it not far for me to come, but it's far for you to come? And
right.
that's when I start learning how to say no to people. And it's so funny when you start saying no, how people just fall off your waist. And it was like, okay, right? And that's when I start loving to say the word no. If it doesn't, I look at if it doesn't fuel me, it's not meant for me.
Exactly. Absolutely, 100%. It's so true. There's this thing called ancestral patterns, right? And
Mhm.
unspoken contracts that play in people's lives. And I was wondering, did any of those appear in your life that you became aware of?
I think they appear in all of our lives
Yeah.
consciously, right? Yeah, I've had to stop with myself for the last couple of weeks in regards because I've been doing a lot of quantum timeline shifting.
Oh,
And it's been an interesting journey because I'm shifting in these different timelines and I'm realizing I had to clear a lot of crap from the past to
okay.
get into these new timelines and how just avoiding certain things in certain times or why did certain things feel so hard? Why was there so much resistance? Why do I feel like maybe meditation or manifestation takes a little longer? So there's so much that's come up to me, even meeting other people and be like, I feel I know this vibe from this individual, but I don't know what it is. And then
Mhm.
you sit with it and you're just like, I'm gonna use cautious with this individual and or this situation or something. It's like, yeah, now I know why. This was a serious lesson from the past type of a thing.
Can you
So
can you give an example? I mean, if you don't wanna go into detail, that's fine, but just give an example for your listeners here.
yeah, I'm trying to think of a situation.
Mhm. Yeah, just a sample of because, for a lot of our listeners here, sometimes they are not really aware of the ancestral patterns or and especially the unspoken contracts, right? And how
Yeah.
it can yeah.
In okay, what there's a there's I feel like through and like my ancestors, there's always a place where we are just kind of over giving or over it always came up with men for me. It's always
Oh,
like a
okay.
man situation for me. And I remember when my mom, when I was young, my mom would say, "You do anything that your husband asks for you of you," and I was like, "No, probably not." You know, or you have to understand a man, or a man's like this. But then I would hear my grandmother, and my grandmother would be kind of the same thing, and then I would hear this down my down the line, and I was like, "No," because every time I do that, I kind of feel that I'm not even in my body of who I am, and I'm always kind of getting burnt in that situation. So what is it that happened in my past lineage
Mm-hmm.
that I may be holding on to right now that I'm over giving, yet I'm not feeling fueled by the situation.
Okay.
As I'm speaking to you, I could feel this pull happening in my back, like trying to pull me back. So it's kind of interesting that we're having this
Interesting.
conversation.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what I learned was to speak up when it came to men. Speak up when if something didn't feel right, rather than harbor it, like how I would see sometimes my mom do or my grandmother may have done. Or I don't know the rest of my great grandmas. I never met them. But I always felt that instead of holding on to that, like I used to, oh, don't worry about it, don't worry about it, don't worry about it. It was like, no, no, speak about it now. And I noticed the more I did that, the more I was breaking this old pattern for myself, but it never
Hmm.
made sense to me of like, how did I have this pattern? Well, it was a pattern that came with me. So it's almost like once you break that chain, you
Hmm.
start to evolve into something else. Like your DNA, your spiritual DNA kind of changes and molds to something else.
Right.
So I've learned this, and it took me a very long time to learn this, let me tell you. But it was something so beautiful. And this happened to me not even long ago. I would say about a month ago when I was, like I said, I've been doing a lot of reflecting lately ever since
Hmm.
this menopausal thing came
Okay.
with me. Like the menopause really made me go inwards a lot.
Right.
It made me look at the last 52 years and a lot of my situations and journeys that I was on. And I kept like, I would ask, like, why did something like that happen? Why did these situations happen to me when it came to men or when it came to money or when it came to, feeling that I was worthy? All these different thoughts that would come to me. And I could just see, like, even yesterday, I was doing a meditation. I kept on seeing these old things coming up, like faces and stuff like that. I didn't know what it was. And I was just like, what is this? Like, why are you showing me this?
Hmm.
I feel like they're coming to say hi, but yet then it's like, no, I don't, I'm not vibing with this type of an energy. So in that time of reflection of releasing whatever I felt I was holding onto from my spiritual DNA, and then I call it my human DNA, my family lineage, and then my spiritual lineage, I
Right.
found that I became someone totally different. And I was having a conversation with my girlfriend yesterday. I go, I wake up every morning, I don't even know who I am because I've someone new every day. I've released something from the old. And then she goes,
Wonderful.
God, I'm going through that same thing. And I said, it's from menopause, but it's also from reflecting to see where my life has gone and where I am right now.
Hmm.
And it's like, wow.
Wow.
That's all I can say.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. No kidding. Yeah. It's a big wow.
Yeah, and then you ask, like, where'd this come from your past? Well, I've never had this in the past. Well, it's
Right.
like that it's a past life happening to me, and I see certain things happening in my past life, and I'm like, okay, I get it. This has really something to do with me, but where I've come from, but who's also I've been around energetically in my past lives, with my ancestors.
Right. Okay. Wonderful. Yeah.
Okay, good
What
question. I kind of went
No, it is. No, it's great. Thank you so much. And I was going to ask, you mentioned, you briefly touched on, when you were 25 and experienced going through, cancer, right? So
Mhm.
what was the first step you took? Not just there, but what was the first step that you took that helped you shift out of perceived, the burnout, right? Toward your brilliance, which you are. So what was the first step?
Getting rid of people that were on the same page as me.
Okay.
That took a long time. Seeing my self worth, really trusting my intuition,
Hmm.
really trusting God had a better purpose for me, knowing that I was made for more because I was always shown this as a child, being intuitive, yet I was having difficulty accepting my gift. So, really about self acceptance.
Hmm.
And it just went into a place of this is who I am. If you don't like it, too bad. And if you like it, you might love it. There's
Exactly.
just at least that whole thing of really loving myself for who I am and how I've been created. And regardless of what I went through in my past, it's not here to, damage my future, but it's here to show me that I'm made for more. And that's why I feel energized. And it's
Right.
weird because I sleep 4 to 5 hours a night and I wake up and I'm just like, wow, like, I feel so relaxed and so I have so much energy. And it's just like, yeah, I can tell like I'm in that zone. I just
Yeah.
be. truly who I am. So I think going from burnout to brilliance is again exactly what I teach women is stepping in your truth and knowing truly who you are in the eyes of the divine.
Mhm, mhm. And so when that happened, with regard what surprised you most about that first step? Like, there must have been I don't know, to me, I'm, like, going through with this with you, and I go, "That's an aha moment." So what surprised you about that aha moment?
It took me a long time to get there because I had to overcome so many of my inner demons and fear that I was holding on to.
Mhm.
Everything shifted when I turned 52. So, no, 50 years old, not 52, but 50 years old. A lot of things shifted. And the first thing that I said to even my sister is I'm going back to my roots. I'm going back to my truth. And and this is about me even loving my culture, being Greek and everything.
Right?
And I'm going back to that, to the foundation of who I am. And that number one, I think, shifted because I don't know, there was just a part of me that I think that was craving that I've pushed it away for so long
Mhm.
that when I allowed it to come into my heart, it's like now I'm just I feel like a whole different person. So I think that was the one big shift was is really going within and seeing what you pushed away that but has always been calling. So a lot of things that I've pushed away in my life
Mhm.
that have been calling me now that I just kind of gripped on a lot of things, I find so many things I just don't feel you ever feel burnt out. But you
Ah,
do get tired because you're
right.
overdoing or you're doing all this, but it's not a burnout where I can't get out of bed or I'm exhausted, I'm miserable. Like burnout could come with so many different emotions too.
Mhm, mhm, absolutely.
I might be tired, but I'm still thinking, okay, I still gotta do that. When I have a little bit of energy because my body could feel sore, I'm out doing it. And then all of a sudden it's like, boop, let's go, let's do this. But I might be doing something totally different that I didn't think I would accomplish or do it. So it's just, I don't know, it's just so many beautiful things that come out of it.
Well, that was what I was gonna ask you, was your relationship with energy, it changed, right? And so on a physical, emotional, and energetically level, spiritual as well, once you saw it and began to see it as sacred, it was a huge shift, I'm thinking.
Mhm, mhm. I like to use the Bible for a lot of different stories too.
Sure, yeah, go
Like,
ahead.
I put myself in like the position of Moses or Abraham or David. I think of David when, in Psalm 23, now that I walk through a valley of shadow of death, I fear no evil for you are with me. And I would always see myself like David had a rod, sorry, a stone, and he took off Goliath. And I think of Goliath as all my demons I had inside of me. So fear, I kind of pinned that off, like self
Mhm.
doubt, I pinned that off. So I looked at stuff like that and I took all these different biblical stories and made them as I was the character. And I said, this happened 2000 years ago. Why can't it happen now?
Exactly.
If I've been in this place since I was a child, and I talked to my mom about my childhood, about church, and she's like, "Oh, when I first brought you to church, you were screaming like we had to pray over you," and I was laughing, and I'm like, "Well, that's interesting," but it's just my spirituality grew because my faith just got stronger and stronger because of what I've been through in my life.
Right.
The depression, I always felt God was there, the hurt, the betrayal, the dishonesty. I always felt God was like, always there. Come on, child. Like, you know better than that. Get your ass out of there. You could
Right.
do this. I think it's really about accepting myself. And the more that you accept yourself, the more that you don't allow BS in your life. You just
Mhm.
want peace. So if you like chaos, great, but peace is so much easier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that word chaos, oh, yeah, and, for some people, it's an addiction.
Yeah. They need to
It's
go,
Yeah,
right?
and they need it, and if they don't have it, they're gonna find it because they will attract it. It's
Yeah.
just oh, I know, believe me, I've been through that movie. And I'm
Many times.
so glad it's not, playing on repeat rewind right now.
Lovely.
Absolutely. I love that you use, the characters from the Bible because I'm very much, a reader and I do read the Bible and I had the honor and privilege of going to an amazing church last weekend in Edmonton, and it you know it it's amazing how synchronicities happen, and when you really listen to that inner knowingness, right? I mean, my car. I was supposed to be back in Saskatoon on Saturday after a Friday celebration of life for my dearly beloved aunt, and my car broke down and it had just been serviced. So I ended up having to stay in Edmonton 2 extra days, and so I thought on Sunday, I'm gonna go check this place out because I've been very curious about it for the past 2 years, and I stayed from 9 o'clock in the morning right through till 5. And
Wow.
yeah, the apostle who gives the talks is brilliant, and he does 3, and they're not all the same. So he does 3 in one Sunday, and I just everything happens the way when you're aligned and you allow to be led, right? And it was amazing. So I'm really glad that you brought up the Bible because a lot of people go, oh, you know, and I go, well, you can go, I'm going, yeah, because there's a lot, because there's a lot of beautiful hidden messages in there that are very applicable to us today and with what we're going through, right? So
Absolutely.
for you, Zach, on a what practical tools or rituals, let's say, helped you reclaim your energy on a daily basis?
Meditation,
Mhm,
self-talk,
mhm,
walking,
mhm.
water, sunlight, vacation. Like I love to vacation even if it's short road trips.
Right?
Uh, you don't have to do anything spectacular, but being outdoors and being part of nature, we are nature. So when
Mm,
we go into nature, we just get fueled with nature. And if, there's so many times I've gone into the forest just bawling my eyes out and I just feel the trees just hugging me. I feel like crying saying it because I could just feel the love from the trees. And it's like the wind's blowing. And it's like, yes, I know you guys are feeling me right now.
mm,
So I find nature as a place to really reclaim that part of you, and of course, what you eat.
right.
Um, Try to avoid a lot of the fake food out there, and there's a lot of fake food out there.
Oh,
Um, Try to avoid all that stuff, and even this fast food.
mhm.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
it's more like junk without the word food. I don't like when people say, "Well, it's junk food." Well, no, junk isn't food; it's just garbage.
Right.
So I avoid a lot of that. And when I do get into that place and I have that one thing, I feel so sick. And it's like, now I know why I don't do it.
I
You know?
know, isn't it amazing once you get to the point where you haven't and then you do, and then you go, "Wow." But, I always say, like, to my grandchildren, "Well, now you know the difference."
Yeah.
You know when your bucket is full. And if your bucket is full, it's going to drop your immune system. And if it drops your immune system, that's how we become sometimes unwell. But then you also have the frame of reference where when you don't fill your bucket up with anything that is untoward, your health and maintaining it, then you feel great. So it's good to have the experience of both. and then and then we get to choose, right? Then we get to choose. So, how do you discern what truly restores you versus what just distracts you?
Because if it takes my peace away or if it takes me out of like, I could feel an energy shift. So if it takes me out of alignment, I know that it's a distraction.
Mhm.
Um, and especially if it takes my peace away or it gets me in my head a lot. If
Oh,
I know something gets me in my head too much, no,
okay.
it's not. I gotta go into this area then. I gotta move away from that. That's not part of I say that's not in my timeline right now. That's an old timeline. Yeah. That's not a
Oh,
timeline to jump into it. I know where I'm going. I know where I want to shift to.
mhm.
So there's a lot of just even so many distractions that are even disguised as goals, right? Or
Right.
certain pathways you could go. But I always ask questions. I ask the energy questions. Am I going the right way? Is this the right path that I should be on? Is there anything I should expect on this path?
Mhm.
Do I get all the answers? No, because we gotta leave some stuff to our imaginations for excitement. And as
Right.
long as you know what the result is, you'll know what a distraction feels like, and you'll know what your alignment feels like.
Mhm.
So I like to always go within and inquire within myself because within me, my higher consciousness is better than anything else.
Right. Exactly.
Mm.
And when you speak, of boundaries and the importance of them and the deeper energy behind them, you know, they must be important to you, right? In order to maintain your brilliance.
Yeah.
And
It's
and
just
mhm, go ahead.
it 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 doesn't keep you from over giving. Like, I find it's so important because I was a yes person so much. Yes, yes,
Right?
yes, yes. And people would ask me, yeah, yeah, yeah. And then I would go, or the day would come and I'm like, I don't really want to do this. Like, why don't we even say yes to this? It doesn't even excite me. But I just said yes because I didn't want the person to, maybe feel pissed off that I didn't do it. And then I
Mhm,
was just like, now I'm doing something because of someone else's emotion towards me doing it. I was like, I don't think so. So there are so many different things and boundaries. So my boundaries, if it doesn't make me feel good, I'm not doing it. If it's not in alignment with what I want to do, I'm not doing it. And if the person that asks me, or if situational stuff happens, then they get upset. Well, that's not my problem. That's your problem. You know.
mhm, mhm.
So there's so many things when it comes to boundaries. However, it's practicing boundaries that's the important thing. We could have boundaries, but if we don't practice them, then it's never going to happen. Or I like to have boundaries because some people like to disrespect you, and you speak up like, I don't accept that type of behavior towards me, and you just
Right.
go, whoa, and then
Oh,
either they leave you or they raise their vibrational frequency too.
yeah,
So
exactly. To match and meet, right? T Exactly. Do you have you ever found, with regards to your work with clients, that there have been times when you've actually had to say no to a client that you can't work with them?
yeah, I fired clients.
I know. So do I. That's why I asked.
I had to fire a client because I worked with her for 2 years, and I just kept on repeating myself over and over, and I said, "Listen, God's not gonna give you step 10 if you can't do step 1 and 2."
Right.
You know? You're Me working with you makes me look bad because 'cause you're still stuck in that same place, but it's not that I haven't done everything with you. I've done everything with you, but you just don't wanna move forward. You're not ready to move forward.
Mhm,
So I said,
mhm.
"You know what? You have 2 years of information that I've given you in so many different scenarios of moving you through things, giving you ideas, business ideas, spiritual ideas, all these things." I said, "Go back to everything." 'Cause she would record her session. I said, "Go back to everything and learn that, and when you're ready, it'll happen for you." And I
Wow.
followed her on social media, and a year later, her life changed. And I said, "I see you move." And she says, "Yeah, I listened to everything basically you said, and I started doing it." And I said, "Good for you."
Wow.
I had
Just
to leave her for her to grow.
right.
Mhm.
Amazing. What a story. I love it. I love it. So for you, Zach, what does your brilliance look like for now, for you?
Oh, what brilliance look like. It's there's so many different parts right now.
Mhm,
Uh, right now, I just feel my brilliance is to just help women on so many different levels, because when I see women coming out like of the fire or the mud, like the phoenix rising, it's like it sparks excitement within me. So I
mm,
feel that that is kind of my brilliance because I'm guiding them and I'm watching them grow and evolve and develop. And I'm just like, oh my God. So I really thrive off watching my clients grow. That's what
mm.
fills me the most. Like, I feel that is God's brilliance working through me to help them. So that divine intelligence,
Right?
it's the light that's working through me right now to help so much, especially what we're going through this day and age. Um,
Mhm.
Women that are, I don't want to say suffering, but that's the word that's coming up, but just so afraid to take those leaps of faith to the next level of their life because they're so used to where they are. But when I use my light to share how beautiful their light is that they can't see, it's
Mhm.
like, "Here's my glasses, take off those rose colored ones. Let me see, I allow you to see things clearly, and then let's go." So I feel like that's where my brilliance is right now, is to really help women evolve into their truths.
I love it because so like you say, so many women are suffering, and, it's really kind of sad in a way when you think of you think I think of that ad way back when, you know, "You've come a long way, baby." Really? You know? I mean, come on, really? If women are suffering like they are, and they are, have we really come a long way?
I
And
hear
then
spirit. I hear a joking spirit saying, "We've come so far along that even men want to be women these days."
yeah, well, there you go, right? Love it. Oh my God,
Even
love it.
men want to be women these days. We've come so far along. Dear,
Exactly.
because yeah,
Yeah, priceless.
I love
Oh my god, you gotta tag that one, girl. You gotta tag that and make that a one of your branding, your branding as lines. I love it. It's great.
came back reading this meeting. I was like, yeah, women come so far that even men want to be women right now.
Exactly, right? That's great. I love it. So, I mean, just what you shared, you totally I can feel it. In your body, it lights you up, right? So,
Yeah,
and your choices that you've made and your voice that you bring to us as women is so beautiful. How are you now protecting yourself and prioritizing your energy now that you've reclaimed it?
that's a loaded question. I love it.
Go for
I,
it.
my, I really do a lot of prayer and meditation. I spend not a lot of time with myself, but I spend time with myself. I go in a lot. I'm an internal person.
Right?
I like to go in a lot, and I like to ask myself the question, what reason am I doing something? So if I like to go to, or if I'm meeting someone, like, what's the reason I'm going to with this person? And if it's like a reason that doesn't excite me, fuel me, or anything like that, then I just won't even do things that don't excite me. I
Right.
won't do things or to appease anyone else anymore, because I used to do a lot of that. Or they just want to go, and then I'm like, oh, I don't even want to go, right? And then I leave who I've met, and I feel so drained. It's like, now I know why I didn't want to go. So
Mm.
listening to my intuition too, really listen to how I'm being guided. And I always, right now, I'm at the point in my life where I got an end result of where I want to be.
Mhm.
And what's important is that I clear my path, and if you come into my path and I allow you into my path, great. But if you kind of distract my path, I'd be more than happy to throw you off the path and leave you on board, because I'm my priority right now, right? And that's where my boundaries come up, and that's what I mean by that. Because sometimes you meet people and they're codependent on you. I just need to talk to you, or it's like, no, I don't have time for that. And that maybe would have been like Zach in her 40s, but
Mhm.
Zach doesn't have time for that right now.
Right.
So I choose a lot of things that I do. But like I said, I do like to stay in nature. I love my own company. Like, when you love your own company, like, it's dangerous.
It's
It's
dangerous.
dangerous when you love your own company. And I
Yeah.
love my own company. I could entertain myself. I could travel the world. Like, there's so many different things, but I love my own company. So loving your own company just keeps you going too.
Yeah, high voltage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
High
Exactly.
voltage. So, so, I was gonna ask you, because our time's coming to a bit of a close here, and I definitely there's so many other areas I would like to have explored with you, and we will because I want to have you back. But right now, if someone is listening, and I know they are because the audience it's a solid audience, and if someone who's listening is deep in burnout and doesn't even know where to begin, what would you whisper to her soul right now?
Breathe. Breathe. It's so simple yet so complicated.
Mhm.
Burnout, you're stuck in your higher extremities, your heart, your throat, your third eye, and your crown. So when you start breathing, you're grounding into your root chakra. And when you ground into your root chakra, your sacral and your solar, what happens is that now you're going into kind of that Pandora's box of the truth, right? The
Mm.
foundation, that childhood that you're running away from.
Right?
My biggest thing that I'd whisper is breathe. Breathe deep, honey. Let it go, and really step into honoring your truth by who you are. And when we breathe down to the tailbone, the root chakra, that's when we really honor the truth of who we are, because that's where we hold so much pain too. So we have to work through that, you know dark night of the soul, or what I call my inner
Mhm.
demons, or whatever it is, from the root chakra. And then you start opening yourself up. So burnout is there to remind you that you're on the wrong path. The breath is there to bring you life. That's why we go Yahweh.
Mhm.
Yahweh.
Yahweh.
Yeah, right? So it's
Right.
really, I always say it's really about bringing God in your life too. And if you don't believe in God, great. What do you believe in? Believe in
Exactly.
something.
Exactly. And, I just want to say to, the listeners too, is that I will be posting your information where they can contact you because that's what this is all about, is to bring you into, my arena so that people can get to know you and also reach out to you. So I will be posting that information so that, because I know people will definitely want to connect with you for sure. So, thank you so much for being who you be, doing what you do, and sharing your gifts and your brilliance with humanity. I'm so grateful that I got to be with you today and learn from you and get to know you. And like I say, definitely going to have you back again if you would be willing to come back again.
To love that.
Absolutely. So I want to say to everybody, thank you, for walking with us today. And if something stirred in you during this conversation, a truth, a memory, a knowing, trust that. And burnout is never just about, like you mentioned, Zach, doing too much. It's about being disconnected from your source, your soul, and your sacred rhythm. And the brilliance you're seeking, well, it's not out there. It's already inside of you waiting to be reclaimed. As I close, I invite you to pause, maybe put your hand on your heart and ask, where am I giving away what was never meant to be spent? And what part of me is finally ready to come home? And so this is how we begin again, not by pushing, but by listening, by connecting with people like Zach and remembering, because it's not about fixing. So in this episode, if it spoke to you, please share it with other women who need to be reminded of their brilliance. And if you're ready to explore what's hidden beneath your own voice, please know that Zach is ready to walk with you. Well, until next time, be gentle with your energy. It's sacred, and so are you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.